Oh, the humanity. Yet another key personnel is leaving Red Bull Racing. What are we doing here? You remember, for the avoidance of doubt, when Jos Verstappen said, if Christian Horner doesn't depart, then many key people will. Ergo, Red Bull Racing will implode. What is happening in real time, if not that the latest departure is one Jonathan Wheatley, Sporting Director, man who was so instrumental in 2021 in deciding which way that World Drivers' Championship silverware went, saving indeed the job of one Red Bull team principal, Christian Horner. Oh, the humanity. Jonathan Wheatley is indeed the rules man. You remember a couple of years back at Suzuka when Max Verstappen won a curtailed Suzuka Grand Prix and no one knew whether he'd gained enough points to take him over the line as far as the championship. Who combed through the sporting rules and code of conduct, if not Jonathan Wheatley, who advised the FIA what they needed to do, what the course of action was, if not Jonathan Wheatley? That's the guy. He's the one leaving. So I don't want to hear about from Christian Horner is any sort of we won't be affected. This gives us the opportunity to reorg and restructure, promote hotspot prospects and key talent internally. That's what Christian Horner will be saying. But that is false. That's the same rhetoric we've seen when we're talking about Adrian Newey leaving, departing for new horizons, going to get himself some rest, then potentially joining either Aston Martin, McLaren or Scuderia Ferrari as of next year. Christian said the team is robust, sufficiently robust to withstand the departure of one of the goatiest aerodynamic minds to have ever F1. Now what, Christian Horner? Now Jonathan Wheatley's leaving. What have you got to do about that? And again, the headlines per AMUS and our man Eric Van Haren. For the avoidance of doubt, all F1 journos are created equally, but some are created more equally than others. Eric Van Haren is one of the decent ones. He reports another big name leaves Red Bull Racing. Sporting Director Jonathan Wheatley opts to move for Audi F1. And you'd think that Audi have all of their ducks in a row, this being the first day of Mattia Binotto, their brand new COO, Chief Operating Officer, come CTO, Chief Technical Officer. Alongside him will sit Jonathan Wheatley as team principal of Audi F1, but they are none the wiser. No public statement as of yet from Audi. What are we doing here, chaps? Barely a wheel has been turned, if at all, and already Audi are giving flotsam and jetsam F1. It was left to Oracle Red Bull Racing and their official Twitter to announce the news. Nothing as of yet from Audi. Oracle Red Bull Racing said, today we announced the departure of Sporting Director Jonathan Wheatley as he heads to a new challenge in the role of team principal with Audi F1 project. Everyone at the team, Red Bull, wishes Jonathan all the best. We will announce a new team structure in coming weeks. Oh, the humanity. This is chaos, and this will have downside ramifications in the near term for Red Bull Racing. Toby Gruner, again, all F1 journos are created equally, but some are created more equal than others. Toby Gruner reports per his Twitter handle, looks like Audi was completely blindsided by the Red Bull Racing announcement about Jonathan Wheatley becoming their new team principal. No official comment from Audi F1 just yet. Typical flotsam jetsam F1. Reminiscent even of Alpine announcing the signing of Oscar Jack Piastri, only for Oscar to report that next year he will not be driving for Alpine. Flotsam and jetsam F1. How are we in this thing, meant to be the premier motorsport formally in the world, celebrating mediocrity, and these teams, back marker ones, that sadly cannot get their ducks in a row, nor do they dot their I's and cross their logistical T's. What are we doing? AMUS reports Red Bull announces Audi team boss, and these are the critical bits. This is Mattia Binotto's first day at the company, is it not? But it was a one-sided Red Bull announcement, say AMUS. In his role, Wheatley was also partly responsible for Red Bull being number one in pit stops. 57-year-old who entered F1 as a mechanic at Benetton in the early 1990s is as familiar with the political arena as he is the technical side of the business, and that is key. How then can you make the case that Red Bull will not miss him going forward? Not in the near or the short or the medium to long term. Absolutely they will. There is no way that you can make the case that losing Adrian Newey, the goatiest aerodynamic mind to have ever aerodynamicked, and Jonathan Wheatley, the guy that combed through the rules and regs and advised FIA what the sporting code of conduct allowed for them to do as far as awarding Maximilian Verstappen a championship. That's who they're losing. Not just Adrian, but Jonathan Wheatley too. Oh, the humanity for Red Bull Racing. MUS continues. In a statement, Red Bull announced the prominent departure via social media. The interesting thing about the announcement is that Audi was apparently not aware that Red Bull was going public with a personnel change at this time. What are we doing here? Flotsam and jetsam F1 already is what characterises the way that Audi F1 are moving. Nonsense. Normally, communication about such changes is always coordinated by both sides. Both parties announce the news simultaneously or with a slight delay. But so far, nothing has been heard from Audi. Yeah, of course. Is Red Bull falling apart as an F1 team? Is Jos Verstappen right? Are they imploding because of, not despite, one Christian Horner's continued tenure as Red Bull Team Principal? When asked by Automotor and Sport, Red Bull only said that they did not want to comment further on the matter at this time. However, rumours about Wheatley being signed had already surfaced even in Spa-Francorchamps paddock last weekend. It was an open secret that Binotto was still looking for a right-hand man for the operational business. Oh, the humanity. For the first time, it was, in the first instance, supposed to be Mike Crack. However, that didn't materialise. That didn't transpire. He had other ideas. But after Adrian Newey, the World Championship team now has to cope with second high-profile departure within a matter of months. After the scandal, the WhatsApp scandal, Christian Horner allegation gate, accusations by an employee, team boss Christian Horner actually wanted to give the impression that the business would continue as normal and that the team was not falling apart. Yeah, well, it is. It is, and it is in real time. Christian Horner needs somehow to right this ship. Now in the latter stages of this rule and reg set, 2026, everything will change. But the oldest story, the oldest truism in F1 history is convergence, is it not? 2021 was proof positive of that. Exhibit A. Now we are seeing the likes of McLaren catching up with Red Bull in real time. You might even make the argument that McLaren have the quickest car. How are Red Bull Racing going to contend for that? What is their constructive rebuttal, even their challenge? How do they fix for that when all that keeps happening over the past 6 months, season to date, is that they're losing key personnel, the keyest of personnel? First, it was Adrian Newey going out the door to join one of McLaren, Aston Martin or Scuderia Ferrari. Now it's Jonathan Wheatley, the guy who was so instrumental in deciding which way the 2021 championship went. He was the guy getting in the face of Michael Massey, racing as hard as possible at each and every single turn. He's the dude that was combing through the rules and regs to decide and advise the FIA whether indeed they could hand the championship to Max Verstappen at Suzuka a couple of years ago, notwithstanding a reduced lap race. Jonathan Wheatley's serious. A god-tier racing F1 mind, and there is no way that Christian Horner or anybody else can make the case in good faith that there won't be downside operational ramifications for Red Bull in the near term, as soon as this year, with McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes et al. Circling as sharks in the water. But I digress.